buckwheat. Hey, hello everyone. Yes, just 3 minutes
Hello.
when we said we were going to be on. Not bad, huh?
Pretty good. Except I don't think we're starting right this minute, are we?
No, we're not starting, of
Oh,
course, because
well,
our
we just
our
tried to get
special
your hopes up
guest,
there.
our special guest is not here yet, and we haven't heard from him.
Did you
So
send him a message?
we're hoping he's going to be here.
Hmm.
You know, come on, Rick, you can do it. It's cold in here. So I just saw you tweet something about 3 to 5 inches of snow.
Yeah, that's what they're
Let me
calling for now,
clarify.
apparently. I think the Weather Channel has started to believe what people in town are saying because, of course, at first it was like, we're going to get an inch of snow. So then everyone's like, we're getting like 4 inches of snow. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like you're going to get it worse than we are. Although some of the
Yeah.
models have shown us with around 4 where I am,
Yeah.
but anywhere from 1 to 4, I'm guessing, for us.
Yeah. I'll still believe it when I see it. They
Yeah,
call for this stuff all the time and then nothing
I know.
happens.
But see, they used to do that a lot. I mean, they used to like say, no, no, it's not going to
Don't
happen
worry.
until the snowcopalypse or whatever it's called,
Snowpocalypse.
14 in
Yeah.
2014.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a mess.
And oops. Of course, the
Well,
big problem with that is that they decided to send everybody home all at the same time.
right at like the worst of the storm, like as
Yeah.
it's like ice.
Yeah, that was not a good idea.
No, not
So
really.
at least this will be coming in like early Saturday morning, Saturday during the day, probably a little bit later for you.
Yeah. Well, no, ours is supposed to be Friday night to Saturday morning.
Okay, same thing then.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
mean, we're really not that far away.
That's true. We're not.
Yeah.
Pray for
So
Charlotte.
we'll see.
Oh, Tony.
I know. Pray for Charlotte.
No, pray for Dr. Steph
That's right.
dealing with everybody in Charlotte.
Well, you had that snowpocalypse or whatever back in 2014 in Atlanta, and we kind of watched what happened there. And then we're supposed to have similar weather the next week. So, like in advance, Charlotte canceled everything.
Yeah, we
and
did
then,
too in Atlanta.
And then nothing happened.
Yeah, nothing.
Not
yeah.
a darn thing.
That was
So that was funny.
overreaction,
A little bit.
underreaction, and overreaction.
We can't seem to get it just right,
Nope. Can't seem to do it. Rick, where are you, man?
Did you send him a message?
No, I'm going to do that right now.
Okay.
Said, hey, are you ready to be a star?
I thought I saw him looking in the feedback or in the news folder, like a while ago.
Oh,
20 minutes ago or so.
He probably decided to squeeze some kind of an errand in.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll be back in time.
Plenty of time. I'm just going to hit the gym for an hour.
Yeah.
Be right back.
His happy-go-lucky attitude is nice, refreshing.
Yes.
Hey, did you see that email from a guy up in Toronto?
Yeah, I saw that. I just saw that when I was in the store earlier.
So Liz, is the National a news program that you've heard of? Yeah, but he does some kind of a program called The National, some kind of a national news program. Oh, that's true. I need to make sure I have my Ricketts button set up. Although we're only going to try to go about an hour because what we did 2 days ago was 2 hours. So let's see. Let me see if I got the Ricketts. There we go.
There they are.
Anyway, this guy contacted me and was wondering if I would be willing to talk to him about fuel starvation and possibly being part of some kind of a program that they're doing. I don't know. I have mixed feelings about doing.
Oh, Liz went to go take care of her dog.
Oh,
so I'll have to ask her again later.
Here we go for the first 4-hour APG. Well,
I don't know if it'd be the first. Have we done?
Yeah, I think we've gotten really close. Maybe, I don't know if we've actually broken the 4-hour barrier. We may have. I don't know. But we could easily do it. We could go for 8.
Yeah, we could have.
Oh, tweet
just
send push notification. Thank you, Jen.
You Someone's on top of things. Thanks, Jennifer.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah. Dr. Steph wasn't.
Sorry, I'm catching up on Facebook here for a moment.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's important things.
Sort of bother you.
I mean, there's this video of a dog in a rubber ducky raft just washing the shore. It's really cute.
That's more important than the APG, apparently. Okay. Okay.
I mean, look at this. Hold on. I don't know if it's going to keep playing. Let me see here. Oh, I don't really want it to play. Oops. Here you go. Can you see this?
Yes.
If I keep talking. Come on, that's adorable. I don't know where this stuff comes from.
You know, you showed me that. I'm thinking, you know, you're right. That is much more important than anything that we're doing here.
Putting the phone away. It's over here.
No. I'm just kidding. I don't care. You know me. I don't care. Okay, so shoot. Go back over here and copy the link in the news segment. There we go. Copy. Now I'm going over here to the back office. I think that's what Paul named it, of the APG app. Users. My message is APG 253 part 2 is going to be recorded any moment.
Any minute now.
And then open external link and do that and hit, oh, no, not copy. Oh, shoot. I hit the wrong shortcut and ruined my clipboard. Okay, there we go. And now I'm going to, let's see, what kind of sound should I try to make it make? Do you have your sound on?
Oh, it can make sounds?
Yeah, I think. How about, you'll like this one.
Okay. I got to turn my volume back on. Let's see.
Okay, turn the volume on.
Okay.
Okay, you ready?
Ready. Except it came to my watch because I have that.
Oh, did it make any sound?
No, because it came to my watch. It should have made it. It would have made a sound.
But it was supposed to make a dog barking sound.
Oh, hey, yeah. Okay, so Nev says woof.
Okay, there you go.
So there you go. It worked.
Okay, so we got that push out there. Thank you, Jen, or whoever.
Please don't make my iPad bark again. You'll wake up the kids. That's what Pip says. Sorry, Pip. I'm glad my sound was off because my dog probably would have started barking at it too. Like, there's a dog in there.
Where is it?
Attack.
What's going on?
Kill it.
All right. All right. Still no sign of Rick. No response from my
Let's see here.
text. Oh, always, he says. We are on link is is on the news intro page.
You did tell me we were going to do this at 4 instead of 5, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
I did. He said, sure thing. And a happy face. What does he say now? Excellent, he said. Okay.
Oh.
Good. That's a good sign.
He said excellent?
Yes, he said excellent.
Just now?
Yeah, because I said we're on. Link is on the news intro.
Oh, because I just said, are you alive? Are you joining us?
Script. Okay. So I'm thinking any moment now we're going to see
any moment.
This little thumbnail thing. Right?
But, okay, so So I did join the Hangout much earlier and just saw that, and then I left because I was like, I don't know what that is.
You know, I thought that because I was doing some other things and I thought I heard something. And then I looked on the window.
I was like, oh, that must not be the new one. So I left.
I must be hearing things.
Well, see, I thought I was seeing things. So
you were.
I was.
So anybody out there recognize my T-shirt? See how geeky like these people are.
I don't know, but I'm just trying to do the maze.
It's
pretty simple. Yeah.
You gotta recognize it really is. Turns out it really isn't a maze.
No, because it would be too simple.
But they call it a maze in this series on HBO.
I have no idea.
And the first season was released, and most everybody has watched all the episodes.
All right. Well, I'm going to
recognize it. Okay. Yes.
Go to the restroom. I'll be right back.
Go. Bye.
I think I've got time.
Yes.
I think. All
right. Okay. Let's see. Anybody? Nobody has any idea in the chat room what my T-shirt is? Oh, sorry, Mick. I woke you up. Where are you? Oh, Gold Coast, Australia. If I happen to look a little bit further up on the chat. Sorry about that. Nope, not lost, Mike. It's a recent. Oh, look, Rick is joining the call.
Hello.
All right. I see a bunch of red. Are you in communist Alaska now?
I'm in North Korea.
North Korea. Oh, really? Shoot. How did you get a connection? You got a better connection than Nick had in New York. Where was he? No, Washington D.C.
Well, I've got contacts in the upper echelons of government.
He's in communist North Korea.
I see that.
Trying to figure out. Internet's been kind of crummy for a change.
That's okay. As long as we have your voice, that's fine. We can deal with the red square. Rick is in red square. Oh, now I see your logo.
That's better. Nice. I don't know why it was just a solid red. It was
just
screen.
Red before.
That's bizarre.
Huh. Nice. What are you guys up to?
Oh, just hanging around, recording episode 253, part 2.
Nice.
You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
I'm off
not
this
much.
One,
yeah. Excellent. So it turns out I have a line check later today.
Oh, no, today? That sucks.
Well, not really. I mean, it's...
well, I mean, not for you. I mean, you're going to be like, whatever. Let me show you a thing or two that you didn't know.
It's kind of cool though, because I'm actually doing it with the guy I did IOE with.
Oh, nice.
So so it's gonna be fun. We're going down to Kadena down in Okinawa.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So let me see here.
Today though, you weren't expecting to go out until tomorrow, right?
Well, I mean, flight leaves at 0000, so technically it's tomorrow. But I have to. But check in is so wake up is at 8:30 tonight, and then check in is at 9:30. And I still have to go over some paperwork and catch a nap and stuff. But but we're good. I mean, we're got plenty of time.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we're only expecting to do about an hour or so.
Let me see here. Cool.
Expecting.
So,
yeah, that's the keyword.
That's always the keyword here. So 253, we're chat, and 253 here. Excellent.
Yeah. So what we've done some of these already, Rick, in the 253 folder.
Cool.
So and then.
Did you put a new one in the news too? Was there something different in there?
Yeah. What did I do?
The very last one.
Yeah, I was going to talk about that a little bit because we were talking about the Fume incident. The BA 380.
Yes.
And
that was back in like October or something.
Yeah, and then this one was just like a couple days ago, Monday night. an American. Interestingly, they both occurred on Airbus airplanes.
Well, I like how they describe the odor on this plane, so I'm sure we'll have something to say about that with Nick not being here to defend Airbus.
What do they call it? The
dirty sock odor.
Dirty sock. You know, Rick and I've smelled that many times, and referring to airplane smells, not our own dirty socks.
well, that too.
But that's the usually that's the water separator in the packs that make that smell.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But anyway, we can talk about that quickly, and then we'll move on to Matthew Bunting Frame sent a quick little audio feedback to clarify. You know what? I'm going to move that over to the news. Yeah, to clarify his the pronunciation, since we were wondering about that, or I was. Okay.
You were.
And as usual, Dr. Steph was spot on. Absolutely correct. Okay, let me go to this page over here. And okay, so we left off by basically saying we were going to be coming back today. So we're just going to act like we're, in fact, let me play a little bit of that in my head so that I can know exactly what we said. And then we'll just seamlessly take over. That makes sense?
Yes.
And then see what I'd be fun. It'd be fun if Rick just started talking, and I go, "Whoa, who is that?" And then I can play your little intro. How about that? All right. So
it's not like we didn't tell everyone that he was going to maybe be here today.
It's still fun.
Okay.
Oh wait, that's what I just recorded. Well, that's weird. Oh, I already have the new recording going. I'm listening to the playback. I'm going, huh, that sounds like something I just said a couple seconds ago. That is something I just said a couple seconds ago. That is
the definition
of messing with my own head, which is really easy to do. Okay. Dang it. Here we go. No, I can't find it. Never mind. It's not worth it. Okay. So, Rick, I want you to just start talking about something. What were we talking about? The last thing that we were talking about yesterday?
I have no idea. I know what we ended on, I think, news-wise. Hold on. I'm going to find it. No, I know, or not news, feedback-wise.
Yeah.
Wasn't it, oh, of course, now I can't find it. There's the special thank you, and then I thought there was one more. Maybe not.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that had anything to do with what we were actually talking about after that. I say we just start fresh.
Was it thank you, but the guy was thanking us, or thanking Nick actually for doing high flight?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Hold on a second. Sorry, Rick.
Hey, no biggie.
Rick, can you see any of our video?
You are you are a little choppy, Steph, and then
really?
Yeah, and then Jeff's just frozen.
Okay. That's okay, as long as you can hear us okay.
Yeah, I can hear you guys fine.
Okay,
good.
It's funny because Jeff's got this confused face on.
That's my normal face.
Nothing unusual about that.
Yeah.
No, I was excited about my holiday Starbucks cup today.
Oh, you got a holiday Starbucks cup this time?
I did.
Nice.
Well, this is actually chai latte number 2 this afternoon.
Really? I haven't gotten my yuppie on as of yet. No.
So the first one ended tragically when I spilled it. So I had to take Taco to the vet to get his Bordetella updated. So I had him in the car. I was like, you know what? I've got time. I'm going to go to Starbucks, get a chai latte, get home.
Nice.
And I was like, I'm too lazy to walk up the hill to get the mail. So I'll just drive over there, get the mail. This is me being super lazy, people. And I'll park on that side of the house because then I'll just go out later when I go to swim.
Right.
And that'll be easy enough. So normally I would park in the garage and I have, I don't have as many things in my hands because I don't have to like hold on to the dog and my mail and whatever else I'm carrying in. So I've got all this crap in my hands and I go in the door and I'm doing okay. And I turned around to shut the door and I must have just had the cup balanced poorly in my hand because it did like this slow motion tumble out of my hand, like a full 360, landed on the floor. And at first it was like, ooh, it didn't spill. And then all of a sudden, like the lid fell off. And it just was like chai latte everywhere. I was like,
it was a chai latte massacre.
Yeah. And I'd only had like 2 sips of it. So I went back out for another one. I was like, that's too sad.
Sucks. And it's funny how like it all happens in slow motion.
It's always in slow motion.
Like, no.
And like I was like, ooh, it's okay. I can save this. And I was like reaching down for it, and then it was just like whoosh.
That's funny.
Let me know if you can hear this.
Nope.
I hear the sound of silence.
All right. The sound of silence.
That's a song I was thinking
of. Okay, I know what to do. Turn that off. Delete that block. Stop
it. That's what she said.
Come on.
That's also what she said. All right, I'll stop.
No, don't stop. Come on.
I was going to say something too, but then that would just be another, like anything you say after that is just more that's what she said.
You just can't. Yeah, I know.
Okay, let's try this again. Application is, what is this called? Adobe Audition. Okay, now, let's see. Wait a minute. Built-in output, yes. I think this will work. We got the gist of it, I think. So again, if you're watching this video, well, it depends on when you're watching this, but we plan on resuming on Thursday, which is 2 days from now.
5th of January.
The 5th of January, 2017. Thank you. And hopefully we'll have Miami Rick with us. Okay. So that'll be a treat.
Fingers crossed.
Yes. He'll be in Anchorage. Oh. And yeah. Okay. So you heard that?
I did. Heard that.
Yep.
Good. Because I didn't hear it. But as long as you did.
Yeah.
Okay. So basically we're saying something about we're hoping that Rick will be able to join us from Anchorage. Hijack is currently captured. Oh no, I don't want to do that. I want to do this. Done. Quit this one. Okay. Now get over to the right screen. Hey Taco.
I tried to pacify him with a brand new rawhide, but it doesn't do anything when the other dogs across the way are barking. It just becomes a big
news
dog barking fest.
Here we go. Okay, let me turn on the H5. That gives me an idea how long we've been going. And Rick, you can just start talking whenever.
Yeah, so the whole trip to Anchorage thing, man.
What?
It's
do you hear that stuff? What is that? Is that a file playing?
This
I hear something.
Wait a minute.
This jet stream this time of year is just brutal.
I think, wow, it's Miami Rick from Anchorage.
Should be Anchorage Rick, right?
Yeah, are you still going to be Miami Rick? We were actually having this conversation before you joined us.
Man, I'm like, no, I can be a worldwide Rick. I don't know.
So we were thinking, you really didn't think this through when you came up with Miami Rick as your thing.
Well, I figured, I'm just Miami based. I'm, from Miami, and it just made sense. But now it's, I don't know. I'm starting to doubt that. I guess we should probably, leave it up for vote.
Okay. Well, yeah. So we'll take submissions from all of our fans out there. Boy, I can't wait to hear all the different suggestions that we might get.
What have I done?
Or what we can do? We can just call you Captain Rick, because a lot of people have been doing that. So heck,
ooh, nice.
Just Captain Rick. That's easy. It doesn't matter where you are.
Or just keep it Miami Rick and say, get over it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like TS. That's what it is.
That's what it is.
All right. Okay. Well, great to hear from you, Rick. It's 2 days later. We were just not long ago. We were on Tuesday, but now we're on Thursday. Yep. And you were able to join us, as we had mentioned that there was a possibility of that. So it's great that it worked out that way. And you were telling us something about having to go grab a nap and then go get ready to fly tonight or something, or early in the morning?
Yeah. So I'm leaving tonight. Like flight departs right after midnight. Like 0001 local time here. So it's technically tomorrow, but it's activation calls tonight and all that. And I found out that I have a line check coming up, and basically what a line check is a this event that you have to do on a yearly basis. And it's just a regular flight. You just go up there and fly with a line check airman or line check air woman, and just go through the motions of a regular flight. You go through the dispatch procedure, look at the fuel figures, and then the weather en route and the weather at the destination, and obviously the weather at the departure airport. And then you get onto the airplane, and really the reason why you're doing this is just to make sure that you're flying safely and standardized, and see how you apply current what's the SOPs, standard operating procedures. Just basically make sure you're safe out in the line is really all it is about. And then that's one of the two events that we have that we have to go through on a year, like bi-yearly basis. So that line check is one, and then the other one would be a sim check, right, which we do every 6 months. So we are, aside from doctors, a profession that deals a lot with making sure that we are up to speed on current procedures, and making sure that we're out there being safe, because at the end of the day we have a lot of responsibility. So just want to make sure that we're doing things right.
We have no doubt that you'll do everything perfectly. So
yeah, we're not worried for you. But good luck.
Great, because I am. No, I'm just kidding.
So I'm going to take just a quick pause here. Trying to do some printing. My son and I are going to go see a free screening this early evening. A Monster Calls. I think it's going to be released tomorrow. Is that what you said? Okay. And so I had to print out some passes. So if you'll hang in there with me.
Oh, absolutely.
Sure thing.
Let's see. Open with preview.
Hey, Chris.
Here, let me turn on the speaker so he can hear you.
What's going on, Chris?
Hey, what's up?
Chilling, man. I hear you. Yeah.
Am I interrupting something? Sorry.
Just the
no, nothing important.
Just thousands of people watching.
That's okay. That's why they tune in for this stuff, though.
Yeah,
it's not the.
It's not the podcast. It's the behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah.
Nice.
And my dog is going to bark through the entire show today.
Excellent. Taco.
He has not been good this week. I don't know.
No, at all. I'm, not a big fan this week.
Not this week.
Maybe next week. Yeah, he's got to get his stuff together.
Yeah.
Like him and I, we have to sit down and have a talk, serious talk.
Yeah, can you get to him, because he's not listening to me.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Who isn't? Taco's not listening to you?
Oh, no. Well, I think most of it I've actually inflicted on him. I've allowed him to indulge himself with new rawhides and puppuccinos at
Rawhide.
And then about 4:30 in the morning the other day, he puked all over the bed. So that was fun.
It's all that bad company at the Barker Lounge, man. I keep telling you.
That's right. That's right. Bad influences.
It's a bad crowd.
Well, no, he's been going to the new place. He's been going to Camp Bow Wow.
Camp Bow Wow. Sounds nice.
It does.
Yeah, I mean they're both nice places.
Dogs there.
Different themes. One's a little more posh. One's a little more, outdoorsy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
They're ignoring me.
I don't know what happens when I leave him there. He's just there all day, and then he comes out comes home and passes out. So
good to go.
Yeah. Oh.
Okay. Okay. Excellent. I'll text you when I'm on the way. All right. See ya. Hey, no problem.
bye, Chris.
Later, Chris.
He said bye. Okay. Speakers are off.
Excellent.
Alrighty. Where were we? You were talking about your line check or something.
Yep, just got over that. Just finished talking about the line check.
Okay. Hey, earlier on the show, I was having trouble with pronunciation, as I normally do have with
and
English in general.
English.
And apparently prepositions.
Yes. Anyway, don't talk about my dangling preposition. It's kind of embarrassing. So anyway, somebody named Matthew sent in some audio feedback to kind of help straighten it all out for me. So here we go.
Hi, Jeff. You say my surname Bunting Frame. That's how you pronounce it. Bunting-Frame. It's an amalgamation due to my grandfather, who was a D-Day veteran, being sent to Normandy, and my grandmother being pregnant. They didn't know whether or not he was going to make it back after the war. So my great-grandfather adopted my father. So on his birth certificate, it came up as Bunting-Frame. So that's how I inherited that little one. And obviously, my grandfather made it through Normandy and the Battle of the Bulge and all that kind of stuff. So, and he's still kicking on in Ohio. Anyway, mate, looking forward to the podcast.
Okay, so there you go. It's Matthew Bunting-Frame. See,
I don't know if you're supposed to pronounce the
I just
hyphen.
heard him say that. Didn't he say? Hang on.
Back after the war, and my father, who was a D-Day veteran, due to Bunting-Frame.
There, see?
Mm-hmm.
I have proof.
I think he'd,
Right.
you know, with a last name that long, he'd probably need like a pull-out page on his passport, you know, to fit the whole thing. But that's interesting. We're talking about amalgamations because not a lot of people know, and this has to do with you know, name amalgamations, and it's aviation related. So this being an aviation podcast, I figured it'd be kind of interesting to know. Not a lot of people know that the name Shanwick, you know, that oceanic control on the British side, on the British side of the pond, isn't really a real place. A lot of people go. So like my trick question is, so where is Shanwick located? And they go, and then I tell them, well, you know what? It's not really an actual place. It's actually an amalgamation of two names, of Shannon and Presswick. So Shanwick, and that's really where that comes from.
There you go. Very good. Another mystery solved.
There you go. And hey, real quick, just going back to part 1 of the show from a couple days ago. There was some feedback that you forwarded to me, and I just want to say a quick thanks to Sean McHale, because I was complaining of my throat being a little sore the other day, and he shared his remedy for sore throat, which is wasabi or Chinese hot mustard. So fortunately, my throat is feeling better, and I did not have to try this, but I'll take it into consideration the next time my throat is feeling a little scratchy.
Or you can just do what I do, you know, just a 40 of Jack Daniels. It works like a charm.
That would work as well. Here, I have another way to do it. Take a hammer and your finger and hit your
and then you'll
finger
forget all about your sore throat, right?
You will not think about the sore throat at all.
Wow, you guys are just all full of all kinds of helpful
We're
remedies.
here to help.
So, thank you.
You're welcome, Steph.
Yeah, thanks.
But
seriously,
speaking of mystery, yeah, thank you for the advice. I saw that and I forwarded it to Steph, and I thought to myself, I'm going to try that next time I have a sore throat. See if that works.
What, the hammer and the finger?
No,
Yes.
the
wasabi and Chinese hot mustard.
Okay. Why can't Rick take anything seriously?
I don't know.
Hey, speaking of mysteries and fumes, we weren't really talking about fumes, but earlier in the show we were at the beginning of it. The event that occurred on the BA flight, the 380, and they diverted into Vancouver. Just saw this after we recorded part 1. An American Airlines flight had a fume event, and it was also on an Airbus. Too bad that, Nick's not here to defend the Airbus, but this was an A330 currently undergoing thorough maintenance inspection now, but I guess they're going from somewhere to somewhere, and
that's
they diverted
code talk
into
for
a ramp.
scrapping.
Yeah,
Scrapping.
So.
They're just sending it out to the desert to.
They do talk about it in the article about the fact that it's not the youngest airplane in the fleet, but they said they don't have any plans yet to scrap the airplane. So,
well, this particular aircraft has had 3 events like this in 3 months now.
Wow,
so
that's kind of a trend. And what kind of an odor was it, Dr. Steph?
It's a dirty sock odor.
Oh, I'd love that. That's one of my favorites. And Rick and I were talking about this, that we or anybody out there who has spent any time at all in jet airplanes in their careers smell this quite often, and it's usually something associated with the water separator in the air conditioning pack, or what's the power?
Preservation and air conditioning. Preservation air conditioning kit.
That's it. Yep. Thank you. I always forget exactly what that stands for, but we just call it PAC. Anyway,
acronyms are dangerous.
Who knows exactly what's happening here, but apparently some of the crew was hospitalized or something. I don't know.
Wow.
So I don't know, if they may have been listening to our show talking about that other event, and they thought, oh, and then they just put that idea in their head. No, probably not.
Power of suggestion.
Yeah. There you go.
Just wanted to mention that, though. Okay, let's move on to the 253 folder and try to figure out where to start off. I think we're going to start.
We had just left off with. Oops, I went too far. Hold on. Back up. Stefan.
Yeah, Stefan. I think there were a couple pieces of feedback that he sent in, and I said that this is something that we probably want to spend a little time with, so we decided to skip those and hit a couple shorter ones. But now we're going to start with Stefan. And he says, hi, APG crew. After a little chit-chat with the old .pilot, he recommended me to write this to the email. So I have a question for your team. In the wake of the Germanwings suicide crash, the German government has set new rules for flight crews regarding drug testing prior to flight. And then he gave us a link there. He said, the details are not laid out yet, but one proposal is that 5% of all pilots are planned for random testing with a what's this?
Ratio?
Ratio. He put an N on the end of it, which threw me off. A ratio of 75% alcohol and 25% other drugs. So I guess 75% of the tests, alcohol, like breathalyzer kind of testing, and then 25% would be probably urine testing. Those other drugs also include psychoactive drugs and medications done via saliva test. Let's see. So his question, how is drug testing handled in other countries, like the USA and the UK? And is it a random test required by law or required by airline regulations only, perhaps in conflict with a presumed innocence principle? So I can tell you that here in the US, and all airlines that are regulated by the Federal Aviation Administration require random testing. And I'm assuming this is the same for freight carriers as well, Rick, where you are subjected to random testing on a periodic basis, and it doesn't really stipulate. Well, then maybe it does stipulate, but I don't know what that stipulation is. But I can tell you the last time, and almost every single time, I think only one time I've been tested doing the alcohol breathalyzer thing, but 99% of the times that I've had any kind of test at all, it was a urine test at the end of a trip, and they test for drugs in the system. And so far, I've passed about half of that. No, I passed all of them. I wouldn't be here talking to you. Probably. No, maybe I'd be here all the time. Doing the
you'd be a professional podcaster at that point.
Yes, I would. Begging for money constantly. But no, so far, they have not caught my drug. I mean, I have gotten 100%. No, I'm just kidding. But I fly with some people that get tested like every month. And
yeah, especially that guy with dreadlocks.
Yeah, I know. It's like I'm thinking. I wonder how random it really truly is. But they say it's random, so I don't know. What can you say to this, Rick?
Well, it's basically the same. It's on the freight side of things. So it's funny, when I used to fly passengers when I was based out of Chile and then Ecuador, the tests were also random, and we would get both the breathalyzer and the urine test usually at the end of a trip. When I really started, to get tested a lot was when I started flying the 777 out of Miami, and this was at the beginning of the trip. Usually, we would do these show times at the middle of the night, and then we'd be out for the we'd do the trips down to Quito and back the same day. If you all remember, I used to do that quite a bit. And then, I'd walk into the operations office, and then there'd be a little dot next to my name on the general declaration, and that was usually the sign that you had to go on down to the the office where they do all these tests. And that was just the breathalyzer test.
You did a video on that once, didn't you? Like a Periscope?
Yep, I did. And it's just your basic breathalyzer test. You go in there, you walk in there. There's a gentleman in there that's going to administer the test to you. He's going to show you that the device is reading 0. It's the date of the last calibration, because it has to be calibrated periodically to make sure the test is an accurate test. And then you basically go through the test, and then you're sitting there while the machine does its magic. A little receipt prints out like a little credit card machine, and it has to say 000 for you to be able to get released and put out in the flight line. And out here in Acme Giant, I still have not gone through a test as of yet, but I've had colleagues in flights with me who have been randomly selected to take these tests as well. But it's just one of those things. I mean, what's right, what's wrong. That the company and the industry is entrusting you with hundreds of millions of dollars worth of equipment, and the reputation of the company. And so you want to do things, the right way. There's stipulations out there about, not drinking before, 8 hours prior to a flight, staying healthy. And I remember back with Acme South, the stipulation was 24 hours before a flight where you weren't allowed to have any kind of drink at all. So, just follow the rules and you'll be all right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we've talked about that so many times before. Why would you want to put your career in jeopardy by,
Ricky Misko, we talked about 2 recent incidents of people getting busted for intoxication. One guy was passed out in the cockpit up in Canada, and the other guy we had
walking through security.
Did you see that?
Yeah,
I did.
That was crazy.
It's like, seriously, dude. I mean, you thought you weren't going to get caught?
Yeah.
Well, why did no one stop him?
That's
very early on is the real question,
Yeah.
But
Jennifer in the chat room says that Betty in the Sky, she has a great podcast, Betty in the Sky with a Suitcase, once talked about Googling marijuana stocks on a work computer. That's not a good idea. And then realizing she'd get drug tested, which she did a few weeks later. So, I'm not sure exactly about this whole random thing they're talking about.
Well, random,
I mean,
informed,
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, if you're using company property, you have to keep in mind that said property belongs to the company, and as such, it's probably being monitored. So,
well,
don't be surprised that if you start looking at things that would make you a focus of interest, then weird things are going to start happening to you. So it's just a little common sense is really all it takes.
And random is one thing, but if your company has suspicion that you potentially are abusing under the influence, and you are not allowed to be under the influence of any of those substances, then there is something that says that they can, I would expect anyway, that they could go ahead and test you, even if it wasn't a random test, potentially.
Oh,
if there's suspicion.
Reasonable doubt, absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Well, I should mention that Stefan is a captain on the Airbus A380 in Hamburg. So that's cool.
Yep.
Great to have you with us.
He always gives me very nice tips about the layovers in Hong Kong.
Oh, really?
Flies there quite a bit.
Okay.
And we've been trying to line up a meetup down there, but it's either me leaving before he gets there, or him getting there before I leave. We never seem to be able to line it up, but we will down the road. It's he seems like a very very interesting, very interesting fellow.
Awesome. Yeah, well, he sent another piece of feedback as well, and I think that Rick will be able to add some substantive comments regarding this. He says, I have another topic. The EASA perhaps the FAA too, has made a rule that the airline should monitor the fatigue risk of the operation schedules, etc. In the UK, one pilot has won a trial regarding that subject. And then he has a quote from this article regarding this case. Captain Mike Simpkins was suspended by Thomas Cook Airlines for 6 months and threatened with dismissal after refusing to fly his Boeing 767 with over 200 passengers due to being fatigued. Captain Simpkins took the case to an employment tribunal, which unanimously found in his favor and against the airline. Simpkins took the difficult decision not to fly after 3 extremely early starts in a row, including one 18-hour day and what would have been a 19-hour day to follow. Thomas Cook's own fatigue monitoring software showed that because of the run of duties he had done, if he had flown his rostered flight, he would have landed at the end of his duty with a predicted performance loss that would have been similar to being 4 times over the legal alcohol limit for flying. And then he gives us a full link to this trial. And he said, perhaps this is something worth mentioning. And he said, food for thought. Has anybody on the AVG crew ever refused a flight due to fatigue?
I have not, and I know people who have. Because, well, at the end of the day, you have to remember that if something happens with you at the wheel operating that aircraft fatigued, then it is your certificate and it is your career. It doesn't matter if you were fatigued or not. What really matters is that something did go wrong. The underlying reason is your fault because you showed up knowing that you shouldn't have been flying that flight in the first place. Well, there's this checklist that every private pilot will be able to tell you the significance behind this acronym, and I'm sure everybody knows about it. It's I'm safe, and it goes through the things. It's kind of a checklist that you have to go run through before you show up for flying, to make sure that you are, well rested and with in the correct mental capacity to go ahead and to perform the way you have to. So I stands for illness, M medication, S for stress, A for alcohol, F, that's fatigue, and then E is emotion. So you run through those and you make sure that none of those apply to any condition you might be going through that might impair you from flying the aircraft or being as safe as you can be. Because as I said, at the end of the day, if something goes wrong, it's your ticket, it's your career, it's your life, and the life of those sitting along with you who have really, no reason to expect you not to be at the top of your ability. So airlines have fatigue management programs. And airlines here in the United States, ever since Part 117 came online, scheduling departments basically work with scheduling software. And in this software, there's algorithms that apply rules, Part 117 rules, to the scheduling procedures, or to the schedule generation. The way these schedules are basically generated automatically for each crew member. And if there's any kind of conflict or anything that is illegal or goes against Part 117 regulations as far as rest is concerned, then there's that operation or that request is going to be flagged, and then that crew member is not going to be allowed to fly that trip, be it because he had a very long day, beforehand, and then he's having two consecutive long days, or he's going to go over the amount of hours he's required or he's allowed to fly in a daily or weekly or monthly period. So I mean, there's protections in the system nowadays, and and airlines do encourage crew members to say, hey, I mean, I don't feel like I've rested. I don't feel like I'm in at 100% to operate this flight. So, and that's a good thing, I think.
I guess just playing a little bit of devil's advocate here, but I just want to stress I agree with you 100% there, but you can almost see where the fatigue would be kind of a slippery slope though for some people if they're maybe a little less or unscrupulous, and if it's becoming a pattern where they're always calling out fatigued, I could see where the airline or the company would be concerned about that, just because it's a kind of a softer call. I mean, it's one that you have to make for yourself. It's no different than an illness, though. If you're sick or unfit to fly in any other way, fatigue is the same way. But yeah, I think this pilot was absolutely in the right there. It wasn't. If you look at his schedule, what he was doing, they talked about that 18-hour day and then a 19-hour day to follow. I think anyone would be fatigued after that. So,
absolutely,
yeah, I can just see where the fatigue thing is kind of a little bit of a slippery slope for some people who might not be as passionate about their job or inclined to work difficult schedules. So, hopefully, that's not the case. But
yeah. I mean, if you use the program for what it's for what it was created, then then I mean, as Dr. Steph mentions, obviously this it is kind of a soft call. It is your call, and I guess you need to just be truthful with yourself and say, hey, I mean, am I doing this because I'm really fatigued, or am I doing this for other reasons?
Right.
So,
and then there's there's some of us too who have the complete opposite work ethic, and people who are going to work and work and work and work need to be aware of when they're really truly fatigued and should not be going flying as well.
So the whole fatigue thing is kind of at my airline is kind of a really slippery slope, as you mentioned, Steph.
Mm-hmm.
I've never called in fatigued, but I have talked to some folks that have, and it was legitimate, but the hassle that you got to go through at my company when you call in fatigued is just the people have gone through it. They said that it would be have been better just to continue flying fatigued.
Well, that's not a good thing.
Hassle. It's not good, but part of it is because the regulations require a lot of record keeping regarding the incident and everything else. But
it's always going to be subjective too.
Yeah,
it's not something that you can measure just by looking at a person. It's not like you can go to the doctor and say, oh yes, you have a sinus infection, you can't go flying. It's a lot harder to quantitate.
No,
well, I guess you kind of could. I mean, you can measure response time.
Response time, yeah, you could. It's just hard to do right then and there.
Right. If you had to go to the doctor the next day, obviously you probably had some rest. So
right.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that the people that I've talked to that have done this have recommended. I'm not saying to do this. I'm just saying that they have recommended that if you feel like you got to put a stop to everything because of fatigue, it's better just to say that you're sick, because that doesn't entail any hassles to go through. You might have to talk to somebody about it, but that's they need to do something to change it so that people are more likely or more encouraged, or whatever the word is, to when it's really fatigue. You don't want somebody out there flying fatigued.
Exactly, and I guess the takeaway point here is, I mean, it's not really a punitive thing. It's not something that you're punished for, because
no.
You do have to jump through a lot of hoops to prove, that, and talk to a lot of people and to basically say, well, yeah, I mean, I was fatigued. This is what was going on, and it'd be a lot easier, as Captain Jeff said, to say, hey, I'm just sick. At the end of the day, though, what you want to do is you do not want to operate an aircraft, with my family on it.
Yeah, that's the bottom line.
Fatigued.
So. Right. You're absolutely correct, sir. So, Stefan, very great thought-provoking questions. Keep listening, and I hope you get that meetup with Miami Rick, or whatever we're going to call him in the future, Hong Kong Rick, sometime soon. So you got some audio feedback from Bill Duffy. He does his own podcast, by the way, Thoughts from the Flight Deck.
Hello, Captain Jeff and the APG crew. Hey, Bill Duffy from Thoughts from Flight Deck with another question for you. And this one is about approaches again. So your airline, Acme Air, flies out of Atlanta. And this is crazy, I'll tell you. If I didn't miscount, when I looked at the number of approaches to Atlanta, there appears to be around 67. I may have lost count, but that's a crazy amount. So one of the things I do notice, in my environment, the teaching environment, we do VORs, we do ILS localizers, RNAV approaches, WAS, but you have something special you guys have available to you, and it's called an RNAV RNP, which is a radius to a fix approach. And I understand that they're assigned. You have to be approved to fly those. So Does Acme Air fly those? When are they assigned? Do you know exactly why they're assigned? I'm assuming they're supposed to make the whole approach quicker and easier. And I guess, do you guys use it? Does Captain Nick use it? Miami Rick? I'm assuming those guys probably have equipment on their plane. And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, Mad Dog being so old, really old, maybe like crazy old, you may not have the equipment to do that. Hey, so I'm really interested in that. Also, I guess adding to this, if you have your choice, be flying an ILS, a WAS approach, I mean, what would be your choice? All right. Hey, thanks a lot, guys. Hope the new year is going to be a great start for you guys, and be listening for you. Bye.
Okay. To answer your last question first, my first choice would be a visual approach because I love flying airplanes and, flying in reference to the actual runway. And the second
That's not the question. Come on.
Yeah, that was. And then the second choice would be ILS. And that kind of, the whole visual thing kind of ties in with his question about RNAV RNP approaches, because usually, and the ones he's specifically referring to in Atlanta were made, constructed, devised to basically be visual approaches, but using automation to fly them. And they thought this is going to be just the slickest thing, and it's going to be, the best thing since sliced bread, and it's going to help traffic and everything else in the Atlanta terminal area. And guess what? We did them for a while. Even the old Mad Dogs, flown by old pilots like me, were actually flying them as well. And turns out that it basically took every single bit of flexibility away from air traffic controllers in sequencing traffic, and actually ended up making it worse than it was before. And so they're still in the catalog of approaches for Atlanta International. If you look it up on your favorite approach app, flight, what is it called? ForeFlight. And,
ForeFlight, I've got RNAV RNP runway 10.
There you go.
Yeah,
Jeppesen. Yeah, you'll notice that they're only for a couple runways on either side. Yeah. And they're basically just RNAV procedures for visual approach conditions. You'll notice that the minimums are kind of high.
Depends on the approach.
1240.
But let's talk about this. Let's talk about this wizardry, though. I mean, what is RNAV? What does RNAV stand for? What's RNP? What's all that stuff? Because it's like might as well just assign weird letters to everything. So RNAV, area navigation, and RNP stands for required navigational performance. And the reason behind these approaches, or really, I guess one of the good things about these approaches is that these approaches do not require any kind of ground components. As we know, the instrument landing system does. You have a localizer antenna at the end of the runway, and you have a glide slope antenna towards the beginning, and then you have the approach line system, and all these components that make up the instrument landing system. And this is not the case with area navigation approaches. All we really need is the network of satellites orbiting the Earth up there in outer space, and then you need the receiver on the aircraft, and then you need what's called RNP, required navigational performance. And basically what that means is that the aircraft needs to perform within a certain margin of accuracy for the aircraft to be able to fly this particular type of approach. Now that's the relationship between RNP, required navigational performance, and ANP, actual navigational performance. You want ANP to be within RNP for you to be able to fly that particular approach. And as Captain Jeff said, these approaches are great. But just like everything, I guess too much of something can sometimes not be good, particularly in an area as crowded as Atlanta or Chicago or New York. And it's interesting how when you look at the bigger airports in the United States and, even overseas, now that I'm, basically flying on, there they go. I missed you guys.
I was getting a lot of encouragement from our chat room.
I know. I was just looking at your eyes, like looking all over the screen, looking for the rickets.
I found him. I was ready.
I know what he's doing.
He's like, I know exactly what he's doing.
When he started saying, "What do these things stand for?" I go, "Oh no."
Oh no.
There we go.
No, but what I was going to say here, just basically to end this little discussion, you'll see that, as Captain Jeff mentioned, a lot of the bigger airports do not have like, RNP approaches be the primary type of approaches flown into these big hub airports. Because one thing that I guess ILS approaches have over RNP approaches is the fact that, well, one, you have minimums for those approaches are a lot lower than RNP approaches, except an RNP approach called an LPV. And an LPV is a localizer performance with vertical guidance approach. Basically, it is so accurate that sometimes in some airports I've actually flown where the LPV minimums are below ILS Category 1 minimums, which usually is around 200 feet. I've flown approaches, LPV approaches, where the minimums are 150, just above Category 2 approach minimums. So it really depends on the approach. But a lot of times...
But generally they're pretty equal, like 200 feet, correct?
Yeah, yeah, they're I mean, yeah, LPV approaches are really going to be there, and I see LPV approaches being kind of the way for the future there, because minimums are very comparable to those of both visibility and ceiling, very comparable to Category 1 approaches, Category 1 ILS approaches.
Okay.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was going to say, in the world that I fly in, the only time I ever hear anybody flying RNAV RNP approaches, and I don't mean an RNAV full precision instrument approach. I'm talking about these RNAV RMPs that Bill is talking about, the ones in Atlanta, the ones in Baltimore, the ones in at LaGuardia in New York and DC. Anytime we're doing charted visual approaches, some of the airlines that are qualified or have the authorization to fly these RNP approaches request those particular things, which do basically the same exact approach that we're doing: expressway visual, river visual, all these different charted visual approaches. They're doing the same track and the same altitudes. It's just that they have instrument guidance to keep them straight, I guess.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. And oftentimes, and you'll notice how sometimes you'll start out on a star or a standard terminal arrival routing off of the en route portion of the flight. Start coming down and join the star, and then all of a sudden you'll get vectored, but you're kind of being vectored, kind of overlaid on the star, and so you go, well, what's the point? And then the reason behind that is because ATC has to have one kind of separation when you're actually flying the star autonomously by yourself, and then that separation can be reduced when ATC is giving you the vectors to fly that particular star. So that's another thing about RNP type approaches or RNP type terminal procedures, is that the separation required to fly the RNP autonomously is higher versus a smaller type separation when you are directly being radar vectored by ATC, even if you're flying the very same star overlay, but with ATC guidance. And it's a lot easier, I think. Just vectors to the localizer at a particular altitude is just the easiest way to go, I think. You can fit a lot more. You can fit a lot more traffic.
Yeah, the controllers have so much more control over spacing and speed control and vector control to maximize the efficiency that way.
Here's one thing though that not a lot of people think about. So when you load these RNP approaches, particularly the stars, the arrival routing into an airport, a lot of times, obviously, 10 out of 10 times, the procedure itself is contained in the aircraft's database, the FMC. And then this particular arrival procedure is going to take you a certain number of track miles before it joins up with the final approach portion of the procedure. And so if all of a sudden you're being vectored off of that and given a more direct route, you have to keep in mind that if you're not careful about it, all of a sudden you're going to have an energy management problem, because you are going to be, way high on your approach path, because the system was thinking that you were going to be flying all these track miles, and then all of a sudden ATC goes, no, you know what, just proceed direct to the outer fix, clear for the approach. And then what do you do?
Jeff, what's going on with you? You're like...
You use your pilot brain to figure this out.
Exactly. So what do pilots do? or at least what I've done ever since I started flying the 7.6, is I put the fix where I'm going to intercept the glide slope. I put that in my fix page, and I will constantly run a 3-to-1 calculation based on that fix plus the altitude crossing restriction to see how high I am in comparison to that point.
There you go.
So that if I do get clear direct to that point, I know how much altitude I have to lose, how fast I should fly that particular descent procedure above 10,000 feet, because I don't want to fly it too fast. Because if I fly it too fast, then I don't give myself a lot of room to pitch the aircraft over even faster to lose that altitude, and then give myself enough room to decelerate the aircraft to configure. So there's a lot of things that come into account. But just always having a 3-to-1 ratio and having a mental picture where you are not only laterally, but vertically, it just makes all the difference in the world.
But what about my flight management computer? If I don't have that, I'm not going to know what to do. Okay.
DME, man, DME.
Yeah, exactly. I wish that everybody had a chance to fly. Oh, never mind.
Yes.
The same old thing from the same old crusty pilots. I don't want to hear it anymore. Connect your automation to the system and let it just do all the thinking for you.
Just auto land.
There you go.
All the time.
Just push the land button.
That's right.
Okay. Enough of that. Thank you, Bill. As I mentioned, he is the host of another great aviation podcast out there called Thoughts.
Oh, you know what? One thing we didn't touch on, though, those radius to fix type approaches. Those are for those who don't understand or don't know what that means. A lot of oftentimes part of an arrival or departure procedure include what are these arcs. Back in the day would be DME arcs.
DME arcs. Love DME.
But now you do those with your basically RNP procedures, and in order to fly those, you need to have a special kind of dispensation on your operational specifications, on your specs to be able to fly those, and you need to have a certain type of RNP and AMP to fly those as well. So not all air, for example, our 400s can't do them, but our -8s can. So that kind of depends.
Cool. Wow. I wish I could take everybody back to flying double NDB approaches in South Korea in the weather.
Actually, my instrument check ride had an NDB approach because that day the wind was blowing out of the west, and Sanford Airport had a single NDB approach to runway 27. And the thing was that if you screwed that one up, then you had to wait for conditions to be the same because you had to fly the same approach. Because that's the one you failed. So it's like that added level of stress was on my check right there. It's like, man.
Yeah, that's not good to do an NDB approach on a check ride. That's for sure.
Nope.
All right.
That worked out.
Hey, Joe sent us some feedback. We were talking on episode 251 about post-flight debriefing or drinking activities. It reminded me of a debrief I almost became involved with. Thankfully, I was smart enough to take a pass. It was 1997. I was a brand new 727 flight engineer for DHL. While sitting reserve early one morning, I was assigned a short flight from Cincinnati to Chicago O'Hare with a 16-hour layover. It was an uneventful flight, with the other two of the crew being very senior at the airline. We landed in Chicago in the pre-dawn darkness, made our way to the hotel. Okay, so it's very early, still dark. After check-in, the other two invited me to the captain's room for a drink.
So it's either very early or very late, right? It could go either way there, I guess.
That's true.
Hey, man, if the sun's not out yet, it's still nighttime.
Still night.
There you go. Being new and not having a clear understanding of what was accepted behavior, I decided to bow out. I'd heard the Displaying River Park had great running trails and was looking. How do you pronounce that? Is that right?
Displaying.
Okay.
Displays.
Was looking forward to exploring them. By the way, drinking at 6 or 7 in the morning with the whole day ahead seemed just wrong. We parted in the lobby with an agreement to meet for dinner later. That would leave time for a quick nap before reporting back to work around 10 o'clock at night, 10 p.m. Dinner was great. After walking back to the hotel, the captain and first officer stopped and went into a liquor store. This got my attention. We had to be at work in a few hours. Inside, they bought several of those small airline-style mini bottles of liquor. This is when I learned what happened that morning and how this little detour was relevant. That morning, they drank several of those mini bottles from the hotel room minibar. Their plan was to stop in this liquor store on the way back from dinner and purchase replacements for what they had consumed at a far more favorable rate than what the hotel would charge.
Right.
However, the plan backfired. While at dinner, the cleaning staff had let themselves into the captain's room and took inventory. The captain, not knowing this, went back to his room and restocked the empty shelves from the morning's alcohol consumption. They thought they had gotten away with it until checkout. An expensive drinking session it was. They were out what they drank at the exorbitant hotel room minibar rates, plus what they purchased at the store. I ended up spending 13 years with DHL, and although I did a handful of times have a drink after flying, I never really warmed up to the early morning drinking. Thanks for the great podcast, Joe Skena in Wisconsin. Thanks, Joe.
All right, 2 things about this. There's this thing called the do not disturb sign. So you hang that from the handle.
Yep.
And then another thing, a lot of hotels nowadays have an anti-pilot monitoring system, where the minibar fridges have pressure sensors.
Yep.
Where the bottles sit. So when you pick it up, that circuit opens or closes or whatever, and then a message gets sent downstairs letting them know that you did picked up that bottle and you're charged for it, whether
maybe
you
they
drank
didn't
it or
have
not.
it in 1997 though.
I know. Well, it's funny because where have I seen that? I've seen it.
I've seen it in a lot of places. It's very common, especially at higher end hotels that like to charge a lot of money for their minibar items. I mean, you remove anything, even just to look at it. I mean, they usually put a sign there that says, if you remove this for any reason, even just to look at the label, you're going to get charged for it.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Just don't touch the
So just keep that in mind.
Luckily, most of the hotels I stay in don't have the little mini bars in the room.
Yeah.
So I don't have to worry about that, I guess.
Nice.
Yeah. Hey, Liz, Mike Carrolls, and Gustav all sent feedback regarding this article, which is about the pilot of Jet Airways. Let's see, pilot of Jet Airways Goa runway crash writes a strong letter. Okay, I didn't know it was actually him. I thought it was just somebody that was kind of defending him. But anyway, this person writes, aviation is a strange profession. I love it to death. But the strange part is that if I meet my end in my line of work, it's most likely that I'll be blamed. I'll be blamed long before any proof is brought forward. I'll be blamed by the media, by the people. I'll be blamed by the passengers if they survive. In a week, the data recorders will be analyzed, and then maybe they'll find that it's not my fault, that I fought for hope amidst hopelessness till my dying breath. Sadly, that won't make as good a headline as much as pilot error or pilot veers off runway when aligning for takeoff. In fact, it was nothing to do with aligning that brought this ill-fated crew to a halt just short of the peripheral wall at Dabolim. I don't know how you pronounce that. Dabolim? Yesterday, December 27th. Okay, so I don't think this was actually the pilot involved in this particular accident. It was a 737 that ended up going to the end of the runway, doing a 180 to align themselves with the direction of the departure runway, and they added thrust to the engines, and apparently something happened. They got asymmetric thrust. One of the reports I read said something about the fact that the reverse came out on the right engine, and so that kind of ended up spinning it to the right in a very violent way. And they came to rest quite a bit off the runway, passing over a road and into another area on the other side of the road. But anyway, let me continue with his letter. How I wish I could explain concepts of asymmetric thrust to the number of people passing silent judgment and being armchair jurors. How do I tell someone about how much thrust 27,000 odd pounds is? How do I reiterate what a reverser unlock is? How do I tell the person that the same 27,000 pounds is now in an opposite direction? Most of the crowd probably doesn't even know what a moment arm or a couple is. They dropped physics in 8th grade as it was too complex. That said, they blame the human machine who earns his bread and butter, putting into practice what they felt was too complicated. To be honest, It's disgusting. Flying this kind of passenger, taking responsibility for his life for however long it may be. How do I explain not being able to see 3 taxiway lights in front of me to a crowd that says, anyway, you auto land in fog? How? It's at the brink of frustration that I'm writing this. Back in the day, an old gray instructor told me, son, in this world of civil aviation, it's best to be a nameless, faceless pilot who does his job and goes home. That is good advice, actually.
Exactly right.
I probably didn't understand it then, but now, more than ever, I totally understand. The sad part is it doesn't matter if it is a Cactus 15, he says 1511, but I think he means 1549 with Sully or the 9W aircraft. I'm not sure what that's a reference to.
That's the jet.
Oh,
Airways.
that's 9W is no, that's Singapore. That's that Singapore 747 crash when he took off from a parallel runway that was closed and had equipment down the runway.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sadly, with technology improving in the home and workplace, the human has become the weak link. Sometimes one must note that the human is the strongest link. Without them shutting down the malfunctioning engine, the plane might have gone into the terminal, increasing the statistics of loss of life. As an appeal to the non-aviation public, believe that we as pilots love what we do and would never put anyone's life in jeopardy. We are sons, daughters, wives, husbands, parents, just like you. We haven't fallen from the realm of Asgard into the helm of these metal ships. It takes years of hard work to achieve it. Media folk, this is an appeal to you. It's you who have sensationalized our profession with scandals, malpractices, and so on. Paint the right picture of pilots worldwide. Tell people that we are there to save lives, not take them. Make an honest effort to redeem your name when you're standing at heaven's gates, or you'll probably have the boatman remove you from the boat. Educate the masses. Who you manipulate to get more views, to the actual facts of thrust, lift, weight, and drag. Tell them from start to finish what happens from takeoff to touchdown. Do tell them that when they see the wind looping out of the window and the tip moving, there is a hand guiding this giant metal bird through the skies. And so I believe that was the end of his letter. Again, he's referring to his frustration after seeing some of the coverage after this incident in the Goa, I guess, again, that's the way you pronounce GOA, to Mumbai flight, a Jet Airways 737, which skidded off the runway on December 27th. And I guess this is the straw that broke his camel's back, and he couldn't keep it inside anymore, and so he wrote this very strong letter. And so, what do you think?
Well, I mean, it's true. I mean, we are sadly in a profession where you're guilty until proven innocent, and even afterwards, I can the 777 crash in Heathrow comes to mind. The captain's last minute selection from flap 30 to flap 25 afforded him that couple extra 100 feet that allowed that aircraft to land within the airport perimeter fence, saving a lot of lives. And he was second guessed, and he had to, I believe, resign from BA, or he was and it took a lot to clear his name.
Yeah.
Even though there was no loss of life, even though the recorders were readily available, and even though it was clear that what he did was the right thing to do. And so, we do live and we do work in an industry that sadly has us painted as the bad guys until we are proven otherwise. Now, the reason, and I guess you guys and gals have noticed that going to this particular type of event, the takeoff portion of the flight, there's a reason why we don't apply full takeoff thrust right off the bat. You'll bring the engines up to a certain N1 or RPM or EPR, then wait for the engines to stabilize, and then apply full power. And one of the reasons why is because you want to make sure that engines spool up together, because if they don't, then you have something like this happen.
Right. So, and that could have been what happened here. But I did note that in some of the pictures, and some people have commented on the fact that one of the reversers was open and the other wasn't. Now that may have something to do with them trying to stop the airplane and control it.
Yeah, I hadn't heard about the possible reverser unlocked.
If that happens when you're at full power, that can be quite a ride.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So. It's actually in flight, it's unrecoverable. The first 767 hull loss, Lauda Air, in over Thailand. The aircraft was called the Mozart. Actually, it was the flagship of the airline at the time. It had a reverser unlock in flight, and it broke apart.
Yeah.
And and basically, and that's the reason why after landing, if you deploy reversers, you are committed to landing. You cannot take back off, because if you stow your reversers and then go to takeoff power and one stays in reverse thrust, then the aircraft is completely uncontrollable. So yeah.
Not a good thing.
Nope.
Okay. Quickly, we'll move on. We're getting close to the end, not of the world as we know it, but this particular episode. Didn't want to scare anybody.
Just Charlotte. The only place the world's coming to an end is in Charlotte.
It's about to come to an end with the snowpocalypse that's about to hit.
Really? Light dusting?
Yeah, probably quarter inch.
If anything, but the world will end tomorrow night here in Charlotte.
Nice.
It was nice knowing you all.
Have you ever heard of Liz Piper? She sent us some stuff here. So she sent us a link to a patent that was filed by Amazon. Now, they actually filed this patent, I think, back in 2014, and it's just come to light to analyst Zoe Levitt from CB Insights, whatever that is. But it's an interesting patent, and there's a drawing of it. I'll put this article in the show notes. But Amazon has filed a patent for massive flying warehouses equipped with fleets of drones that deliver goods to key locations. Carried by an airship, the warehouses would visit places Amazon expects demand for certain goods to boom. It says one use could be near sporting events or festivals where they could sell food or souvenirs to spectators. The patent also views a series of support vehicles that would be used to restock the flying structures. So I should probably pronounce envisages.
Envisages?
That sounds about right.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, okay. It just didn't sound right when I said it. The filing significantly expands on Amazon's plans to use drones to make deliveries. So in the documents detailing the scheme, Amazon said the combination of drones and flying warehouses or airborne fulfillment centers, think of a big, huge blimp, would deliver goods much more quickly than those stationed at its ground-based warehouses. It also said, this is the part that really got my attention, these big, giant flying warehouses would cruise and hover at altitudes up to 45,000 feet and would use almost no power as they glided down to make deliveries. Okay.
Yeah, they just fall out of the sky.
Problem that I can think of is that all the airliners flying out there.
It's not important.
And all these little drones falling from these big, giant things up at 40-something thousand feet.
Well, there's that. And then you have, I guess some merchandise is temperature sensitive.
Yeah, that's true.
And it gets darn cold up there.
Yeah.
So
that's true too. Yeah.
So here's the thing. Companies, submit patents for all kinds of crazy things and ideas.
Yeah.
Most of them don't ever come to fruition. So just because this was discovered doesn't even mean that, it's just something that they put out there, test the waters, create discussion for maybe some variation of this, something more realistic down the road. But
and just to prove that point, I hold the patent for the square wheel. So
wow,
yeah,
good luck with that.
Exactly. Well, it'll work someday.
Yeah, still trying to iron out all the details.
Yeah.
Work out all
literally.
Those Okay, well, yeah, you're right, Steph. I doubt that this will come to fruition, or at least we hope it won't.
I like the drawing though. The schematics on these patents are always so.
Yeah.
It's like a cartoon.
Yeah. So if you want to check that out, the link will be in the show notes. We have some feedback from a place that we don't normally hear feedback from.
Hi guys, I just wanted to leave you a message saying Happy New Year, Captain Jeff, Dr. Steph, me American Captain Nick. You've been amazing this year. I learned a lot from you, and I'm really grateful for that. I wish you really an amazing year filled with lots of amazing and joyous memory. And I hope sincerely one day I can get a chance to meet up with you in person. I'm actually from Iran, as most people pronounce it as Iran. And I got my ATP license about 6 months ago and just getting my instructor rating. And I'm traveling quite a lot. And I hope at least one day we can get a chance to meet up. Thanks a lot again. And I'm really grateful for the hard work you're just putting in the podcast. And Happy New Year again, guys.
Well, Happy New Year to you. He calls himself Kia, the Persian from Iran. But I'm gathering that he's actually not living there right now. I guess that's just where he's from. He didn't say where he's actually living.
I said just doing a lot of travel. So.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's awesome. Thanks for the Happy New Year wishes.
Hey, man, congratulations on the ATP.
Absolutely. Let's keep going here. Tariq sent this in.
Hello, APG crew and APG audience. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And I say this just because I want you guys to be happy. It doesn't matter if you're Christian, Jewish, atheist, whatever. I have a question for you guys, and in specific to Captain Nick. It's about the Airbus.
Oh, he's not here. So guess we can do that.
I'd have to save that.
Moving on.
Who is that from? I kind of missed when you said
Tariq, or Tariq, Tarik. He didn't mention his name in this one, but he has sent us feedback in the past. Okay. He has a YouTube channel that we talked about.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
And I'll try to remember to put the channel in the show notes. But Tariq. It's interesting. He talks about his name in an earlier audio feedback about how where he's from. He has kind of a little bit of a Scottish accent, but anyway,
it's kind of all
over the place. Well, should we just play it anyway?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
I went home for a couple days, and I was coming back to Glasgow on an airline, which we'll call as Acme Orange. They fly the A320, 19s, and 21s. I think you guys may know who that is. Anyways, we were coming in, and it was sort of the 23rd, 24th of December. And for those of you in Europe, you might remember these days as being quite windy indeed. And we had a wind shear warning on final, and we went around. The captain said so. So obviously I was a passenger. And now the thing is, I had difficulties telling that we were going around. Normally, you can kind of hear it. I've been passengers on the 747 and 737 and other aircraft, and every time we went around, it's very loud. The engines spool up quite a lot, and you can definitely tell you're going around. You do feel quite a strong seat in the pants sensation. But with the Airbus, it was really, really smooth. I barely heard the engine rev up. Sorry. But you know what I mean. I barely heard the engine spool up, and I was only certain that we were going around once I saw the flaps retract and that we were actually climbing. So my question is, I know that the power levers are electronically controlling the engine. So do you preset a go around power setting, like an N1 value or something, so that when you go around, you just firewall the power levers and the engine power sets itself? Or does it work in a different way? Or were the pilots that precise when they went around? That's my question. Guys, thank you very much. I really love the show. Keep it up. I'm Tariq Merryface. I'll see you guys next time. And once again, Happy New Year.
Okay. He just said his name at the very end. How did he
Tariq.
Tariq.
Okay. So my answer is, and it really doesn't have anything to do with the fact that it was an Airbus or 737 or whatever airplane. It used to be at my company that regardless of where you were on an approach, if somebody said to go around, they kind of trained us to just hit the toga button. And of course that goes into go around power, which is a high power setting. And you really had to pull the nose up pretty rapidly to keep from over speeding things. And it was kind of like a roller coaster ride. And after a while, people were saying, well, you know what, that you don't have to do that in every situation. In fact, that could scare the, you know what, out of the passengers. And, if you're on an approach and 1,500 feet above the ground, there's no reason to go around power at that point. You can just, nice and smoothly bring in the power, nice and easy, and just very gently, stop your descent and, level off or start a climb or whatever. Of course, if you're doing an instrument approach and you're very close to the ground at minimums or below minimums and you do a rejected landing, you definitely want to have that takeoff, go around power in. But so you see, they're kind of emphasizing to us that, hey, you're a pilot, you have a brain, use your pilot brain and decide whether or not you really need all of that power at that moment in this situation or not. And I have a feeling what you experienced was a guy or gal that was using their pilot brain and said, you know what, in this particular situation, I don't need to put all that power in and scare the you know what out of the passengers. They're probably already a little anxious because of all the bumpiness of the winds and everything else. I'm just going to nice and gradually stop my approach to the runway and come back around and try it again. What do you think?
Yep, and I mean, exactly. If it sounds to me like whoever was flying this thing broke the approach and just tried again. But we do have to keep in mind that, and I do, understand a little bit, how the Airbus philosophy works as far as approach logic and where the thrust levers are. Because once upon a time, believe it or not, I was offered a position to fly the Airbus at my old, Acme South Airline. So I started reading up on some stuff. And now what I do remember here is that, I know exactly. What I do remember here is that, so your thrust levers really are more like switches on Airbuses. So you have, when you take off, you're going to put your thrust levers, or your little, at the toga position, which is all the way forward. You have a position right behind that called the flex position, which is basically when you're taking off with assumed temperature method or a derate. And then the position right behind that is the climb detent, which is basically where the levers are going to remain for the entirety of the flight until the airplane starts calling you names at about 20 feet and tells you to bring the power levers back to idle. It calls you a retard, and you bring them back, and then you land. And so that's one thing. The other thing is that Airbuses have a system, and we've talked about this. It has a system called Ground Speed Mini. And basically, Ground Speed Mini, what that means is that you will enter your the windage into the FMGS, the Flight Management and Guidance Computer System, and that system is going to compare whatever wind you entered with whatever the inertial reference system is picking up real time, and it's going to adjust power to give you a constant ground speed all the way to touchdown. Now, if you have very turbulent wind, shifting wind, and turbulence type conditions, then the power is going to constantly be going back and forth to provide you with that constant ground speed all the way down the slope. And so if the engines are constantly putting in a lot of power and taking out a lot of power, putting in a lot of power, taking out a lot of power, and then all of a sudden you decide to break off the approach, then maybe you broke off the approach right at the time when the engines were at a high RPM or high N1 or high EPR moment, and then you weren't able to feel that power go on because the power was on anyway to provide you with the constant ground speed over the ground. So maybe that's what happened there. However, I do believe that to get the aircraft out of approach mode and into go-around mode, you need to put the thrust levers in the toga position, because this is not only going to give you the thrust required to fly the go-around procedure, but that is also going to change what's called your FMA, your flight mode negotiators. And it's going to allow you to track the lateral path of the missed approach procedure and the vertical path of the missed approach procedure, which is going to allow you to accelerate the aircraft, clean it up, and get it reconfigured to come back around and land. And that's kind of how it works on Airbuses. I'm sure I'm missing or leaving something out because I don't fly Airbuses. I fly Boeings, and in Boeings, whenever you bring the flaps out of the up position or you capture the glide slope, even if the flaps are up, then that'll automatically arm the go around mode, which is basically going to give you max rated thrust if you hit the switch twice, and it's going to give you a 2,000 foot per minute climb if you hit the switch once. And that's really all there is to it.
Easy peasy.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Good questions. Perhaps Captain Nick will listen to this part of the show, and he may have something to add or subtract when on our next episode.
He'll have something to subtract, for sure, and to add.
Yeah, subtract, negative. Yeah, okay, probably. Anywho, so I think we've gone a little bit over an hour, so I think it might be time. We still have a few things that I dropped in the folder that I was hoping to get to, but I really, honestly, didn't expect to get to in this particular episode. In fact, we ended up covering more than I thought we would in today's show. Just quickly before we go, Rick, we haven't heard from you in a while, and I'm sure that people are wondering about you and how your holidays were, and what's new in your life and such.
Well, the holidays were okay. I flew over Christmas. I was in Morbach in Germany, beautiful little town, about 80 miles to the east of the Luxembourg border there. So we had a little, get together with the one of the incoming passenger crews, because there's some passenger crews there as well. So got together with them, had a little Christmas dinner, and then I went to midnight mass on the 25th, which was really nice because the church is right across the street from the hotel. They have a beautiful Gothic church, and the service is just amazing. And then I was lucky enough to be with my family for New Year's. That was nice. My sister lives up in Charlottesville in Virginia, and my brother was in town. I haven't seen him in a little while. And so we spent New Year's with them. My parents, my sister, my brother, and my brother brought his girlfriend into town, which was kind of cool because I hadn't met her before. So it was nice family time. So at least I got to spend one of the two with family.
Awesome. And so for the next 17 days, you're going to be out there flying all over the world, I guess.
Yep. So this time around, I'm doing. I'm going to I'll be in Japan. I'll be in Hawaii. I'm going to. I'll be in the West Coast as well. I'm doing a little bit of military flying, so I'll be out in Travis, and then I'll be out in LA, and then back out to Hong Kong and Incheon in South Korea. So I'll be basically knocking around the Pacific for the next 17 days or so. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, hopefully we'll be able to connect with you again sometime soon, but it's always a treat when we get to hear you. And we hope that your trips are all fun and safe. And I was just looking at my message app here and just got a message from my company that basically saying that they are monitoring a winter storm that may impact ATL beginning Friday afternoon. Critical ops updates will be issued as needed. Nice. I'll tell you, folks, if you have to start the de-icing system in Atlanta, it is not a very fun thing.
So the world's going to end in Atlanta and also in Charlotte.
Really, we'll be close to it. It'll feel like it if you're out there in line for de-icing. So I'm scheduled to go out early Sunday morning. I'm hoping that all of this mess will be gone by Sunday morning. Oh, anyway.
It'll be good.
Just
remember, Type 4 fluid, holdover time, very important.
Yep, absolutely. And I've already had to de-ice once this season. And I have a feeling on this next trip that I'm doing, which leaves Sunday morning, it's a 3-day, and then again another 3-day after that, I end up in a couple of places that I might have to be de-iced. Grand Rapids and Memphis. Both of those have the potential for de-icing. Grand Rapids probably much more so than
I think Grand Rapids you'll see some ice up there.
But I've been de-iced at Memphis a few times in my career. Anyway, so hopefully crossed fingers, everything will go just fine.
Swimmingly.
Swimmingly, yes, absolutely. Swimmingly. So thank you everybody for listening to the show. Again, check out the airlinepilotguy.com website where you can learn about the crew and the coffee fund and merchandise and all kinds of stuff there. It's a great place to go, especially if you want to look at some of these things that we've talked about in the show notes. All the podcasts episodes are listed there, along with links to all these great articles that we reference in the show. And we also have some apps that you can download, and they're on the iOS App Store and the Google Play Store for the Android platform. Social media, Dr. Steph?
Sure. You can find all of us together on Twitter. If you go to @APGCrew, we all have access to that account and can respond to you. And if you look at the very top of that page, it's got a little pinned tweet with all of our individual accounts if you want to send something to us individually on Twitter. If you head over to Facebook, there's a Facebook page, facebook.com/airlinepilotguy. And Jeff and Nick, for the most part, do a lot of the talking there. But again, we can all see that and chime in if needed. And if you are one of those who loves the chat room, likes to be part of a perpetual chat room type situation, you can find that on an app called Slack. And to get access to that, you need to contact our APG community member, Hillel. But you have to do that on Twitter. So go to Twitter. He's at HI11E1, and he'll need your email address so he can send you an invite to the Slack platform.
Absolutely. Thank you, Hillel, for kind of managing that. We do appreciate it. And anything else before we shut this thing down?
I think you covered it all.
Okay. Just a reminder, lots of great aviation podcasts out there, and I'm trying to keep up with all of them. I just finished watching, finally, the videos that Pip put out for his great Christmas Atlantic adventure. And now I see all the fun that you guys had and wish I'd been able to take part of, but I, for some reason, had just kind of zoned out of that whole world and didn't know about it until after the fact.
I got there and he's like, where's Jeff? I was like, I don't know. I thought you were getting in touch with him. I wasn't even supposed to be here today.
So what I did was I told Pip that I unsubscribed from his YouTube channel and resubscribed, and then I clicked that little bell, which kind of gives notifications when new content is available. So hopefully I'll be alerted next time he puts something up there, and I'll be able to know what's going on. But
that was fun, though. It was a nice unexpected bonus treat to be able to meet up with Pip while he was here in the States in Atlanta for even just a little short while.
Yeah, he has the audio version of that compilation out now. But if you want to see the video, which I highly recommend, there are 4 parts. Check it out. Even as you just mentioned, Steph is in part 4, and I believe it's part 3 where Micah makes an appearance. And anyway, very entertaining and informative, as always. So, and that's just one of several great podcasts. One of the ones I forgot to mention, Mike Carroll's, our dispatcher Mike, has his own podcast, Flying and Life, where he talks a little bit about our flying meetup in December and some other things that he's done. He's really starting to get back into a lot of general aviation flying, and it's so enjoyable to hear him talk about that. So that was one that I neglected to mention. But as I said, there's so many of them. I hate really mentioning any of them because I'm sure that I'm going to forget somebody. And they're all great podcasts. So all a big, giant, great community of aviation enthusiasts out there, and just blessed to be a part of it. So that's about it.
Absolutely.
So until next time, wishing you clear skies, unlimited visibility, and tailwinds. Take care and God bless.
See y'all soon. Woohoo!
Take care, y'all. Stay safe in the snow.
Yay.
Awesome.
All right.
Yeah, I'm glad that you were able to join us, Rick. That was everybody was thrilled to hear your voice.
Yay. Awesome.
Has not been the same without you, man.
It's been so much better. I mean, it's been terrible without you.
I know, I was going to say that. Like, so much better.
So much better.
Numbers are way up.
I didn't say which type of the same,
Like, yes, he really made an impression on me. It was not a good impression, but he made an impression.
A very strong one.
Nice.
No, just kidding. No, we love you.
I love you too, guys.
I miss you too. Yeah. So, when is all this craziness going to end? Or is this going to be like your life for the next 10 years?
I think
until you die?
This is your life now. Welcome to your life.
Yeah, I think it's gonna stay this way at least until I bid out of Anchorage.
Yeah.
So it'll be at least till April. So.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I know you're doing a lot of great flying. I'm sure you're enjoying it. So, I'm happy for you. Just sad for us.
Well, hey, April's not that far away, so.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
That's like no time at all.
Hey, you think there's any chance that you're going to be able to make it to the meetup in Pittsburgh in May?
I'd have to bid for it, but I've learned that every time I get my hopes up about anything, they are crushed.
Well, let's just say we don't want you to be there at the Wings Over Pittsburgh in May. Please don't bid for it off.
Right.
And
I'll get the days off automatically, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Reverse psychology we're going to try to use.
Oh man. Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I mean, I'll get to bid at Anchorage here in April, and then depending on what kind of seniority I can get at another base, I'll be able to now. So we'll see.
Okay.
Don't want to get my hopes up.
I know. I don't mean to put you on the spot either. I'm sorry.
No,
Yes,
no,
he
no,
does.
no, no, no.
I feel like we're all just one big family, just kind of.
Just roll with it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I'm gonna shut things off so that I can head over to the theater complex where I'll meet up with my son, and we're gonna watch this this pre-release movie.
Very nice.
And,
Very fun.
Looking forward to that.
Hey, make sure you take a camcorder with you and be, really.
Oh yeah, because it's going to be out tomorrow.
Exactly. Like, just pull a Kramer.
Exactly. That's a great one. And how Jerry was like really getting into the artistic aspect of his pirated movie.
Awesome.
Funny. What a great show. I try to get these things out on Fridays, and so maybe if I put in an all-nighter, I might be able to get this thing published tomorrow morning or sometime tomorrow. So for the audio
all-nighter
version of the
geez.
show. Yeah, I doubt that'll be an all-nighter, but I've been staying up really late lately because I haven't been flying. Going to bed at 1 o'clock or later in the morning.
Nice.
I can't do that at all.
I need to shift though because it's another early morning, 5:40 or 6:45 a.m. showtime Sunday morning, 7:45 flight to LaGuardia. I'm hoping that the snow will be gone from LaGuardia or at least not falling, because de-icing at LaGuardia is definitely not a lot of fun. And then back to Atlanta, and I think I'm deadhead to Grand Rapids on Sunday afternoon, but rest of the trip I hope to stay away from nasty weather, but we'll see.
Sounds good.
As far as recording next week, we have no idea.
I have no idea.
It'll be someday.
I am available. Well, we can talk about that later, but yeah.
Okay. Very good. All right. Let me find the Hangout window, and I'll go ahead and end the broadcast. Again, thanks everybody, especially those of you who are
Bye, everyone.
See you, everybody.
Those of you joining us from work today, go back to work.
Yeah, go back to work.
I'm waving bye even if you can't see me.
Yes.
Okay, I'm imagining it. Okay.